Welcome back to the Not Quite Halloween special. In this part, we are taking a look at a bunch of movies with, of course, mad scientists, but also zombies, Frankenstein monsters, people in rooms talking, and men in gorilla suits. Let's go. Oh hey, it's the movie with the guy on the cover. The Ape Man is another Bela Lugosi film from the 40s. So, the movie starts with a mystery that's almost immediately solved, with the disappearance of a professor quickly being explained by his colleague as a cover to hide the fact that he injected himself with a serum that's slowly turning him into an ape. Why the professor wanted to do this, I have no idea. They might have explained why, but the dialogue is so muffled it's a struggle trying to figure out what these characters are saying half the time.
All houses are haunted. All Christmas.
Well, whatever they're saying, I figured that Brewster, the Ape Man, is trying to regain his human form, so he goes around taking human spinal fluid to return to normal, with the help of his gorilla friend. Surprisingly, not the first ape-themed movie to involve spinal fluid as a plot element. He only needs one injection of it to return to his human posture, but it wears off and he's forced to go on a killing spree.
Get Liverpool. Tonight, no one but one of your men.
The movie starts with Lugosi already transformed into an ape, and I feel like it was a missed opportunity to explore the events leading up to that. Why the hell did he want to do it in the first place? What was he trying to prove? What dialogue I can make out is incredibly hokey, though there is a tinge of intentional comedy to the whole thing, though I don't find it funny. The other characters in the film are reporters trying to figure out what's going on with Brewster, and we, the audience, already know what the deal is with him, so whenever it cuts back to them, it results in some tedious scenes. Spoilers for the Ape Man, I guess, but the ending is hysterical.
Don't you over my knee and paddle you good.
Don't be a chump. Who are you, anyway? Me? Oh, I'm the author of the story. Screwy idea, wasn't it?
And then it ends with an ad for war bonds. Just absolutely incredible. The highlight of the movie for sure. It's a bit plotting despite its hour-long length, and the characters are paper-thin, and the science is preposterous even by science fiction standards. It's a hokey little adventure that doesn't excite. But I've definitely seen worse. Next movie.
I don't care, I'm going.
Oh hey, it's a movie from Jerry Warren. The same psychopath responsible for The Incredible Petrified World. And that was one of the worst movies on the last box set I looked at. His name is the first frame of the movie too, so, I wasn't looking forward to the rest of it. So these dweeby teenagers travel out to an island where a lady scientist is turning people into zombies for an unnamed, presumably communist nation. She also has a gorilla.
I think you'll agree this one has plenty of fight in him.
So she captures the teens, and it's up to their extra dweeby friend and his girlfriend to save them. Because it seems like a law in this movie that every male must have a girlfriend. Please procreate. There's this sequence early on where the extra dweeby teen and his girlfriend travel to the island, and it takes an excruciatingly long time. And then they're told to leave and are like, okay, and then they do.
Well, goodbye.
It's infuriating because of how long it took to friggin' get there in the first place. And that's just one example of the tedium that is this film's pacing. So much of this film is padded out by scenes of the characters walking or driving somewhere. I'm sure if you cut it out of the movie, it would at least be 5 minutes shorter. Every second counts when it's spent doing nothing. Combine that with some stilted acting and uninteresting camera work and blocking, and you have a rather lethargic viewing experience. It's another incredibly dull, unexciting, and boring movie. It's not so bad it's good, it's just terrible. I know I didn't say much, but there honestly isn't that much to say. At least nothing I haven't already said about movies like this. This is so bad it would be right at home on the science fiction box set. I want to move on to more interesting movies.
Anybody for horseback riding?
Get the fuck out of here. Oh hey, look, something a little more interesting. Not by much, mind you, but it's a more recent movie, made in 1982, during Italy's foray into exploitation, which immediately means there is more to point to for talking points.
And that could easily cause panic if it got to the general public.
Panic is an Italian/Spanish production about a scientist who's turned into a melting tumor after contaminated rats escape from a research facility.
The problem is the disappearance of the guinea pig.
Or guinea pigs. I mean, I know that's what you refer to test subjects as, but wouldn't lab rat also work? Whatever, that's semantics. Anyways, he goes around drinking people's blood, and the entire town is quarantined out of fear of his contamination spreading, as this guy, apparently he's named Captain Kirk, is tasked with finding and killing the monster. That doesn't stop him from touching all the blood at the crime scene. If anything, I'd only quarantine this guy. There are so many movies about quarantines made a long time ago that people often compare to what happened in 2020. But here, nobody else seems to really get infected because most of the time, the monster just rips them apart before they show any symptoms.
As far as we know, isn't Adams the only carrier of the virus?
Yes, since all his victims are dead.
The monster grabs and nearly kills at least 2 people, one of them being the protagonist, but it never really addresses whether that's enough for contamination.
You're wounded.
Oh, the monster's bleeding.
Also, why did this guy's girlfriend stay in the theater after the monster appeared? She wasn't even in the first row. Also, why is this couple making out in a dirty warehouse? The same warehouse the movie ends in, too, and is supposedly a different location. Ah, God. Italian movies. This movie incorporates elements of giallo, with all the shots of the killer's POV, but outside of that, I don't really think it does anything interesting visually. The camera is always situated far back from the action, so the film doesn't force the viewer to engage with the action outside of wides and mediums, and that's what I think primarily contributes to the boredom. If not the multiple scenes between monster kills of characters discussing how to stop it, or the near lack of incidental music, which is a shame because Italian movies at least usually have good music. There is a ticking time bomb element that's introduced in the climax, with the government trying to go all scorched earth on the town, despite not a single person showing the same symptoms as the single monster. But even that element is undermined by most of that climax being characters wandering around a sewer. There is no sense of space or indication that the monster is closer or further away from them, and it's just not very interesting to watch.
Do you think there's really any danger?
I doubt it, dear.
The gore isn't even that fun, but I guess the makeup of the mutated man is well done, and I can cling to that little detail when saying this movie isn't awful. It's a pretty standard man-turned-monster-on-the-loose movie, and there have definitely been worse in that category. The worst sin of this film is how dreadfully dull it can be. In Greece, the film was apparently released as Zombie 4, making this the unofficial 4th entry in that weird rabbit hole of a series. Alright, I'm going off script for a second because I feel like I need to explain this because I know there are people out there who don't know how fucked up the Zombie series is. Okay, so Dawn of the Dead was released in Italy as Zombie. About a year or less than a year later, Zombie 2 came out. Now this was a completely unrelated production, but because of Italian copyright law, they were allowed to call it Zombie 2. Now fast forward about 10 years, we have Zombie 3. This is also an unrelated movie, but whatever the case is, they finished that movie. That is allowed to be called Zombie 3. Then they made Zombie 4, which was directed by Claudio Fragasso. That was the guy who made Troll 2. That is also technically part of the series. Once we get to Zombie 5, that's when we get some real bizarre shit. Like, it wasn't actually Zombie 5. It is sometimes called Zombie 5, but the actual title is Killing Birds. Now, what gets really fucked up about this, what gets just absolutely fucked up about this, is that copyright law was just a suggestion apparently throughout the entire Mediterranean. So just anyone could call their movie a sequel to Zombie. For example, this movie is called Zombie 4 in Greece. Sometimes movies that were released before Dawn of the Dead were repackaged as zombie movies. The whole thing's a mess, and honestly, I think I should make a video about it. It's really funny. You know, this whole practice of incorrectly labeling movies reminds me of what bootleggers do when they slap random numbers on unrelated games to make them look like sequels. You know, Sonic Blast 5, 7 Grand Dad, etc. Anyways, that's all I really have to say about it. Moving on. Frankenstein 80. A movie released in 1972, okay, is another Italian production. Out of all the films I've talked about so far, this one is the most sexually explicit, and for sleazy reasons, so viewer discretion is advised. Like Lady Frankenstein, this isn't so much of an adaptation as it is a story that takes elements from the original Mary Shelley novel. It's fairly standard on a surface level. It's about Dr. Frankenstein making his monster out of stolen body parts. The monster is named Mosaic here. And this monster is a real bastard.
An ugly bastard.
It wanders around at night and specifically targets women. The reason the filmmakers chose this motivation is unfortunately self-explanatory. Eventually, the monster breaks from the Doctor's control, and then any semblance of a story gets thrown out the window as the creature goes on a killing spree. Frankie's a fraud here. He stole his serum from a guy named Dr. Schwartz. That and the fact that we don't really get a proper monster creation scene, just a monster completion scene, makes this a weirdly noteworthy adaptation, just for what it omits. That and the monster being, you know.
An ugly bastard.
Despite how I make it sound, this movie has a couple things going for it, even through this awful transfer. The bizarre lighting and camera work shine through. There are some nice-looking shots and creepy moments. It's just that, like the last movie I talked about, a lot of this one is spent looking for the monster, and a lot of that involves these largely uncharismatic characters. There's a bit of black comedy sprinkled in there, but it's nothing more than chuckle-worthy.
You've got to put them together, piece by piece.
Okay, there's one bit that's actually pretty funny.
And the murder that we have learned that just happened in the toilet.
It's an undoubtedly trashy movie, but it has some artistry to it. The music is pretty good. The makeup on the Frankenstein monster is subtly grotesque enough, and what he does makes him a suitably detestable villain. I just wish the movie didn't linger on it. And Gordon Mitchell delivers a nasally yet entertaining performance as Frankenstein.
You've now attacked me, and I shall have to destroy you.
Definitely not a movie for everyone, but aside from the slower parts and the perverted bits, I was entertained. Especially by the crappy death scenes at the end. That's some good schlock right there. There is a limited Blu-ray release of this movie coming out soon, so if you want to actually see this in a quality grade above VHS, then you might want to check that out. I personally will not be buying it, though.
What a load of crap. Pardon.
Okay, so change of plans. I accidentally forgot a movie in my initial lineup. So we're covering 31 movies now instead of 30. Oops. Anyways, Maneater of Hydra stars Cameron Mitchell, who I'm mostly familiar with being a repeat appearance on episodes of Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst series.
I get gas. Every day ends with a Tom's Festival.
This was before he reached peak slovenly drunkenness, however, being released during his sober years in 1967. So Maneater of Hydra, or Island of the Doomed, is a Spanish/German co-production about, of course, a mad scientist, one played by Cameron Mitchell, who brings these largely characterless tourists to his private villa, which houses killer plants he has modified. It takes a while for much to happen, but it starts picking them off one by one, and it becomes a little murder mystery. One where it's obvious that the killer is a plant monster if you have any degree of genre savviness.
You mean you believe that one of my experiments got out of control and is responsible for these deaths?
There's a subplot about a married couple having a case of infidelity, and the lady is trying to hook up with almost every male in the group. Even the mad scientist. Hell, her name is Mrs. Robinson. Must have been a coincidence. Anyways, she dies.
A moment'll do it. My bag isn't that antique car. I need it today.
Nobody here is really all that likable, especially not the adulteress. So there comes a point where I'm just rooting for the plants to start killing them. And that doesn't happen fast enough. The slow pacing should be predicated on characters the viewer likes, or is at the very least interested enough in them to want to see them uncover the mystery. A mystery that's fairly obvious. But the movie sets them up as whiny assholes, so it just becomes a more lethargic slasher movie without all the gruesome deaths. With the exception of the final 12 minutes. That's when we finally see the plant monster, and the way it offs the final characters is pretty sickening, for a movie of this scale at least. A lot of it is implied and off-screen, but it's effective. The sound design on it is pretty silly though. It sounds like someone doing raspberries. Yeah, Maneater of Hydra was pretty boring overall. The climax doesn't make the whole package worth it. It's notably a little gory for a film made in 1967, but it ain't worth watching, I think. Next movie. Frozen Alive. It's a movie from the 60s. The film is about two scientists doing experiments in freezing and resuscitating people, despite pushback from the scientific community. One of the two is married, despite showing interest in his scientific partner, but his wife is also seeing another man behind his back.
The plot thickens.
It's some trite drama between not terribly interesting people. The performances are generally decent, but I couldn't get invested here, especially when it took until the movie was 2/3 over to get to the Frozen Alive part of the Frozen Alive title, when one of the scientists offers to freeze himself, but then this happens.
Auf Wiedersehen to Joan the Soak!
His wife shoots herself, and it was with the scientist's gun too. So now there's some confusion on if he's freezing himself to escape murder when in reality the wife shot herself. Immediately the tone of this one is confused. It starts with swanky music set against a space backdrop. Space isn't even relevant to the movie, but I guess the groovy music is fitting, cause this isn't really much of a horror movie or a science fiction movie. It's a melodrama about a love cube that has a ton of setup before actually getting to the science fiction elements.
The weaker sex.
God, I really don't have much to say about this one. It's just not very interesting. The characters are stock and the drama is kinda dumb, cause it all leads to this total misunderstanding, and it's one we, the audience, already know the solution to because we saw it. It feels like a waste of time. The climax of the movie is just the scientist waking up from being frozen just to say, yeah, I didn't do it. And that's it. I guess they proved their experiment works too, so, good for them. Now, this movie was a German-British co-production, so in Germany it had the title Case File Number 701, which certainly matches a movie this boring more than Frozen Alive. Next movie. Before I move on though, I want to say, now that we're halfway through the box set, that we could be doing worse. Sure, we've had a couple really bad movies so far, but some of the movies here are genuinely watchable. In a cult film sort of way. Not a lot of objective awfulness like in the science fiction box set. Let's see if things change. Wow, it's a movie in this collection that's not only in widescreen, but also in a different language. Usually in these collections, Mill Creek only puts in the English dub. But here we are with a French-Spanish co-production that's presented in its original language. Its inclusion is a win for foreign cinema, surely. But yeah, the movie itself is not really great. In a desperate attempt to save a robber's life after a botched bank heist, a group of criminals bring him to a scientist of the mild variety. They hold his wife and daughter hostage until the scientist can cure their friend. The movie is reasonable up until now, but I can determine the exact moment it got a little absurd.
Pour sauver cet homme, il faut pouvoir lui faire une greffe du cerveau.
It's not a complete brain transplant, the movie isn't that dumb, but they're taking portions of another man's brain and replacing the damaged tissue with that one. That other brain belonged to a criminal named the Sadist, who they kill with a silly-sounding silencer. Predictably, the brain of a much worse criminal results in complications right away. Who would have thunk that putting part of another man's brain in someone else could make them act like them? In fairness, the scientist did warn about this. Though, for a time, the movie does not focus on the consequences of this. It's more about building this scenario around the operation, with a gang of rival criminals holding the scientist's assistant hostage, wanting revenge for the death of the man whose brain was used. The movie is jumping around a lot, but still somehow a bit plotting. It's leaning harder on the crime drama than the science fiction, which is a bit disappointing. It's more of a horror movie than the straight-up crime dramas that were crammed on the horror box set, but I'm still getting flashbacks. Man, what is it with brain and head transplant movies and having the flick just stop for a burlesque club scene? The music of this film is pretty good at least. It sounds a lot like an Italian movie score, with the wailing woman acting as vocals. This movie isn't awful, but there really isn't a lot to it. The pacing makes it a bit dull, and the science fiction element is undercooked. That and the crime drama isn't all that interesting to watch. I had this one on in the background for a lot of it. Halfway through, it just wasn't grabbing me. I'd like to move on to the next movie. Man in the Attic is really stretching the definition of a mad scientist movie. Sure, it's got something of a doctor in it who's mad, but it's more of a murder mystery film. I'll excuse it because the movie itself is actually pretty good. Set in late 1800s London, a man named Slade, played by Jack Palance, takes up rent in a house's attic. He's a bit suspicious, and perhaps to further clue the audience into who he is, if his actor's first name wasn't already perfect casting, this movie is set during a certain killer's murder spree.
Jack the Ripper. What a revolting, stupid name.
This film is in the mystery genre, but it is pretty obvious Slade is Jack the Ripper. So that is something I'll knock against it. It's way too predictable.
That's odd, you know. He never does that with strangers.
It's also another one of those movies with a really long song and dance scene, despite not being a musical, and some of these lines are also kinda goofy.
I believe he's shy and lonely and all wrapped up in his Chinese puzzles.
And also hilariously dated.
Oh, she's so gay, even in the morning.
But this movie has a number of things going for it. The sets are lavish and suggest this is an actual studio production. They help give the movie a palpable atmosphere at times. The camera work and cutting are sophisticated and gives the numerous dialogue scenes a little more visual intrigue with wides, mediums, and close-ups. This is how you do these sorts of scenes and make them fun to watch. You can infer characterization from something as simple as a close-up. Take notes, Jerry. Jack Palance is also quite good in the role. He's playing the part of Jack the Ripper with a reserved mania where it's clear he's not totally trustworthy, but he's also suave enough to a point where he might not be a crazy killer. And it's played well. Dialogue like this is a huge red flag, though.
My mother was an actress. She was one of the most angelically beautiful women who ever lived. I loved her deeply. For every aspect of beauty she possessed, she contained a double portion of evil. I hated her.
But I thought you said you loved her.
The fact that it's so on the nose and only the lady tenant suspects anything at first is groan-worthy. But yeah, aside from some issues with the predictability of the screenplay, this movie is quite decent. It's got some genuine production value. The performances, especially from Jack Palance, are good, and the camera work and editing add a lot. How the heck did a movie like this end up on this box set?
What did you say, dear?
I was talking to the dog.
Okay, let's make this one quick. Counterblast is a 1948 low-budget British film. One of the first shots of the film is an enigma. It looks like these guys are jumping into the air like friggin', I don't know, Mario. While the hideous transfer doesn't make it immediately obvious, this is supposed to be a prison break being done by ex-German officers. Taking place in a post-war Britain, one of the escaped officers, a bacteriologist named Bruckner, slips into society by violently taking the place of another doctor. Once he settles in, he continues his dastardly work by developing bacteria-based bioweapons.
Yes, bacterial warfare. Any man who dabbles in that sort of thing commits a crime against humanity.
The rest of the movie follows a couple of other characters slowly catching on to the scientist's lie, and he begins to have doubts about his beliefs. Though, don't get it twisted, he's not a layered enough character for him to not default to his evil beliefs in the end. The fact that it's a movie made so soon after World War II that has a villain protagonist in the form of an ex-German scientist is a little interesting, I guess. But it's a movie that's padded front to back, not a premise begging for an hour and 38 minutes. The performances here are generally decent, if not a bit stuffy and unnatural.
Will you excuse me? I'll get some cigarettes.
That's very kind of you, Dr. Rankin.
The whole relationship subplot with Bruckner's assistant is overly saccharine and corny. The filmmaking is functional. Nothing spectacular, but there are little moments I can point to as being particularly effective. I like how the tension in this scene builds and builds with the diegetic music and the lady being unaware of Bruckner's intents, until finally...
I said I don't want to drink.
That's good, I like that. It is reasonably watchable, if not a dry experience. And I say watchable in regards to the movie itself, not this transfer. Good lord, is it ugly. The story is kinda interesting and does about as much as it can do with its budget while remaining mildly engaging. Because this was made after World War II, there are occasional moments where they address the trauma that came from it, but I don't think they dwell on it enough. The pacing is definitely on the slower side, but I feel like that opinion is more influenced by the want to see the next movie. Speaking of, let's move on to the next movie. Our final movie of the night is I Eat Your Skin. Why does it have such a title? Well, because it was the second in a double bill with one of the catchiest title card readouts I've ever heard.
I drink your blood, and I eat your skin.
Man, the way the trailer voice says it, it's just instantly iconic.
I drink your blood, and I eat your skin.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm never going to have another opportunity to talk about I Drink Your Blood, so I'm throwing in a bonus review. I'll talk about I Eat Your Skin next, I just want to take a quick detour. We're looking at 32 movies now instead of 31. Full disclosure to address the people listening to this video in another tab, yes you, I Drink Your Blood is not part of this collection. I just want to talk about it because of its past as a companion piece to the final movie here. And I mean, it's got a kid in it who injects rabies into meat pies. He could be considered a mad scientist if you want.
Let it be known, sons and daughters, that Satan was an acid head.
A group of hippie Satanists make a small town their new residence. After harassing an old man to tears, his grandson takes blood from a rabid dog and injects it into the aforementioned meat pies, which are then served to the Satanists. Slowly but surely, they all succumb to rabies and all hell breaks loose. I guess even by today's standards, we've seen much worse, but the movie was given an X rating on violence alone. So trust me when I say I Drink Your Blood goes off the goddamn rails. It's a weird blend of elements, a whole group of Satanists with defining character traits, with a small town, with construction workers, with rabies. All these disparate elements eventually collide and create an entertaining final act. All of this happened because a kid injected rabies into meat pies.
Rabies? You mean like dogs?
The cult leader is just an absolute joy to watch. He's chewing the scenery with every line and just reveling in it.
You're beautiful, but if you ain't careful, I'm gonna skin your ass alive.
Everyone in this group of Satanists looks like they're having a great time. They're all delivering their lines like it's a dramatic stage production, and it adds a delightful layer of cheese to the proceedings.
You're mad, you son of a bitch!
They do some pretty twisted things before they even go rabid. They go rat hunting in one of the movie's early visceral scenes, and one of the first things they do in the film is slit a live chicken's neck. The rat hunt is fine. Apparently no rats were hurt or at least killed on screen. But the chicken was definitely a live animal they killed for the movie, and it's less than 4 minutes in. Talk about a barrier for entry. On a lighter note, the writing is surprisingly funny at times.
We'll make a baker out of you yet, Kate. Nope, I'm gonna be a veterinarian.
I especially enjoy how certain elements are set up early on, as a sort of fucked up Chekhov's gun.
Just like shish kebab.
The score is this eclectic mix of grungy electric guitar stings and high-pitched early synth noises. It's a unique soundscape for a film, and it works, especially the one-note noises being sustained and slightly raised as the tension mounts. I Drink Your Blood is a bit of a hard sell if you're not into cult cinema, but this is as quintessentially cult as it gets. Hell, it's got a cult in it. It takes a bit to get the ball rolling, but it's crazy, it's campy, and genuinely squeamish. I think it's an enjoyable time. If this movie was on this box set, it would easily be one of the best. It's the grisly film you want to open a double feature with. I Eat Your Skin, on the other hand, is the movie you put on when you want people to leave.
Oh no, there's my husband!
If you're wondering why this movie is in black and white while the other was in color, that's because this one was shot in the early to mid-60s but remained uncompleted until the double feature. Even the film's double feature trailer only shows clips from I Drink Your Blood. They knew which one was the creaky old stinker. No skin is actually eaten in the film either, which is something that is addressed on the Wikipedia page. Sure, no blood was consumed during I Drink Your Blood, but at least they made up for it with its own violence. This is an older piece of crap that was dressed up in marketing to sound like an exploitation film. Though it does have some exploitationist themes, like voodoo zombies. So, the film is about a novelist who's assigned to cover a story in the Caribbeans about ritualistic sacrifices. As it turns out, scientists there are using these rituals as a cover to turn people into zombies. And they're some of the worst zombies ever. Like, seriously, they're supposed to be decomposing, but they clearly have mud slapped on their face, and I mean, what do you even say about the eyes? Are they in a perpetual state of seeing booba? Are these the long-lost cousins of the aliens from Killers from Space? Even those eyes were more convincing. One of the lead scientists was trying to find a cure for cancer, too. How the fuck did he accidentally make zombies? The main character isn't terribly compelling. He's the womanizing type, and the whole motivation for going to the island was the promise that there would be virgin girls there.
Baby, did you miss me?
This feels like a movie that was attempted to be salvaged in editing, and what was there was barely usable. The film's score is also quite intrusive and ill-fitting. It's made up of groovy jazz music, maybe in an attempt to liven it up. It doesn't work. The script is still awful and its story plotting. Check out the sound design on this snake. It's clearly someone going sss into the mic. The single funny moment in the film has to be the scene where a zombie carries explosives and walks into a plane. That's some creative shit right there, but it doesn't save the film. Most voodoo zombie movies I've seen are from these box sets, and with the exception of one, they've all been fucking miserable, boring movies. I Eat Your Skin joins their ranks. It was woefully outdated with its voodoo zombies even at the time it was shot. It's shot flatly, and its attempts to charm with the main character only repulse. It misses the mark of being an entertaining bad movie. I think it's just bad. At least the recent Blu-ray release looks nice. I'm not using the visuals from the Mill Creek DVD because they look like they survived a hydrogen bomb. So you can experience this turd with high quality video if, like, you hate yourself, I guess. But yeah, on that note, that's the end of part 2. Tune in next time for the final part where we take a look at the final batch of films. I definitely saved the best for last. Whoa, hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. To the patrons listening to this, by the time you receive this video, it will have been a full-ass month since the last part. But anyways, here is the patron readout. Mulan Nguyen, Ultraman Taro vs. Leo, Heiam Mooney, Krazak53, Koman, Queer Kaiju, Radiant GV, Chronicler Waba, Alcoholic Alligators, Ryan Santa Cruz, Avok Robot, The Antagonist, Richard Ciavardon, Ziggy Zigra, It's God Z, Big Odilo, An Actual Dimetrodon, CMG, Red Comet Harry, and Marpzilla. Thank you very much.